Well, that is President Trump threatening India with substantially higher tariffs in the next 24 hours. Now, President Trump has been repeatedly claiming that India is the tariff king. He said that through the campaign trail. He said that after coming into office as well. Now, data shows that India's tariffs are high when considered at face value, but the weighted average of the tariff level is much lower than several countries. Sample this. India's simple average is less than 16%, but India's weighted average applied tariff rate is 4.6%. So that is how the numbers stack up. This is where the tariff rate stands. Now, this gap shows that higher tariffs are concentrated in a few low import sectors like agriculture and automobile, which form a small share of the trade between India and the US. India's trade weighted average rate of 4.6% is lower than the European Union at 5%. It's lower than Vietnam at 5.1%, lower than Indonesia at 5.7%, and much lower than Bangladesh at 10.75%, the weighted average tariff of 4.6%. That is where we currently stand. Now, also important to note that since January of this year, January 2025, India has made several concessions to strike a deal with the US. The Harley Davidson motorcycle in India now cheaper after the duties were reduced from the earlier 50% to around 30%. So that concession has already made. Bourbon whiskey, another one. Earlier tariff of 150%, the tariff now of 100%. Cut already been done. Synthetic essences 100% now down to 20%, and fish hydrosalate 15% now down to 5%. So these are some of the measures already undertaken by India. Not all. India, importantly, also abolished, and this is the key, a 6% equalization levy, which was popularly called the Google tax. This was also abolished, and this was applicable on US tech firms offering online services in India. So this was already done away with by India. Additionally, retaliatory tariffs on key American agriculture exports, apples, walnuts and almonds were withdrawn in 2023 after the resolution of WTO disputes. India has also been increasing its energy imports from the US. In the first quarter of this financial year, US energy imports are up 114%, and the estimation is that they will be up 150% in the fiscal. The share of US crude in India's import basket has risen from 3% to 8%, and that's the number for the month of July alone. As I pointed out, India estimates a 150% rise in energy imports from the US this year. So again, to President Trump's call to action asking India to buy more from the US, that's already happening. We've been doing that for a large part of this year and the previous year as well. Now, responding to the US president, the Ministry of External Affairs has said the targeting of India is unjustified and unreasonable, and it intends to take all necessary measures to safeguard national interests and economic security. India, on its part, said it began importing crude from Russia because traditional supplies were diverted to Europe, this after the Ukraine war. In fact, the US actively encouraged imports of Russian oil by India as it strengthened global energy market stability. And this was because when the war broke out, there was a sharp spike in oil prices, with Brent crude hitting $137 per barrel. Now, in March 2022, after Russia invaded Ukraine, we saw prices spike. In November of 2022, US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said, and I quote, "The United States is happy for India to continue buying as much Russian oil as it wants, including at prices above a G7 imposed price cap mechanism, if it steers clear of Western insurance, finance and maritime services bound by the cap." That was the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on India's decision to buy Russian crude. A few months ago, in May of 2024, US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti, admitted that India bought Russian oil because the US wanted somebody to buy Russian oil, and the US allowed the purchase to ensure oil prices do not go up globally. This was Eric Garcetti. Listen in.
And we take the smaller victories, like actually they bought Russian oil because we wanted somebody to buy Russian oil at a price cap. That was not a violation or anything. It was actually the design of the policy, because as a commodity, we didn't want oil prices going up, and they fulfilled that.
Make informed decisions with comprehensive analysis on the go.
Strengthen your portfolio with real-time market updates on the go. Create effective strategies with insightful expert opinions on the go.
Grow on the go with CNBC-TV18, now streaming live 24/7 on YouTube.
Thanks for tuning in to CNBC TV 18, and for more news and updates, follow us on all the social media platforms.